Today, I have the honor and the privilege of sitting down with the man that originated the WWE developmental system, the good doctor himself, Mr. Tom Pritchard. Tom, how are you, sir?
Brian, I'm doing great. Hope you're doing good too.
I'm doing very well. I'm up here in southern Indiana, so OVW territory. This weather is hit and miss, hot, cold, rain, snow every other day.
It's just like Tennessee weather, man. Just wait a day and it'll change. Yeah.
So today, I just wanted to take a little trip back in memory lane here and talk about Deep South Wrestling and how it came to be you coming back and being a trainer there.
Deep South Wrestling. Well, I was I was let go prior to Deep South Wrestling's existence, and then some things were happening in Deep South, and Mike Bucci was in the office at the time, and they called me and asked if I'd like to come back, and I said, of course. So there was some. They wanted to get a new feel and change of pace, and they brought in Bill DeMott, and then things changed there, and they brought me back.
So, what did you know what you were walking into when they brought you back? If you were going to
I,
have to redo everything, or what did they exactly want you to
I wasn't quite sure how far it had gone or what they were doing down there, but I was just going to cover up there. I was living in Tennessee, I guess. Um, I think I was just coming in and I was going to do it my way anyway. So whatever they had, I was prepared for anything. Let me say that.
Now, did you have to relocate to Georgia, or how long of a drive was
Well,
that?
my wife was here with our daughter, and she was still in high school. So what I did was I got an apartment in Georgia where I stayed 5 days a week. Then I'd come home during the weekends. So that was how that worked.
And when did you get to Deep South exactly?
Trying to think, you would know this better than I would. Do you have dates there? I mean, I got there. Was
From
it 2007?
from what I can find, it was they're saying around January '07.
Yeah, I think that's about right. 2007. So when we were there, maybe I don't even know how many months before we uprooted again and went to Tampa.
Now, how was that experience going into Deep South and then working with the talent that was already established there?
Well, I got to tell you, anywhere you go, you're going to have issues, I guess, because people were loyal to Bill and didn't know what was going on and felt he got a raw deal, and maybe he did. Um, but I had no problem with the talent there. There were some who were adamantly loyal to Bill, and I can appreciate that. And otherwise, it was a smooth transition. It wasn't until later on, and I don't really recall what all the issues were, but that we decided to move to Tampa.
How much of a notice did you have before that took place? Because you got an apartment here in Georgia and now you're going to Florida.
Yeah, so we had maybe I don't know, a couple week notice.
And you had already, how was it going from Georgia to Tampa? Because everything, they didn't have a building, they didn't have anything, they just were closing Deep South. And then did they give you guys kind of a heads up of what was next, or just stand by?
Well, stand by, but we also Steve Kern had looked for a building in Tampa. He had been looking, and we found this baseball place. What's it called? Batting cages,
Hmm.
and we trained in one of the batting cages for a while. Put the ring up in there, and while everybody else is hitting baseball, we're doing wrestling. So it was a little chaotic in the beginning, but then Steve found this building, and we got into it. But developmental was so much different back then because they still wanted they weren't going to have complete ownership. WWE wouldn't have complete ownership. So Steve had to sign all the papers, and it was basically him as the owner and president of FCW. And WWE was not going to be responsible for anything that happened. It was all Steve Kern. At least any of the bad stuff, they weren't going to be responsible for. So we trained in the batting cages for a couple of weeks, and I think we found the place and moved the ring over there and started training.
How difficult was it to train at the batting cages with everything going on?
It could be distracting. It really could. And it was at this time when the Bellas had come in too, and they're two 20-year-old twins who didn't know anything about wrestling. They were in a lingerie catalog, I guess, and John Laurinaitis found them and hired them. But it was a little distracting because they didn't know anything. So
Hmm.
we were teaching them from scratch. And but most people adapted very well.
Now, how long did it take you guys to find the perfect building? Did you look at a couple different ones around Tampa?
Yeah, we looked at a couple different ones, and then there was this one that had canned goods all around, but it fit the need. It had a back space, it had a front space for an arena that we could run shows in, and that was the major thing was to run shows and get these guys experience. So it took us a little bit, but Steve finally found a really good place on Dale Mabry.
And is that something you guys had to build from the ground up, everything to make it the FCW arena?
No, no, we just moved some of the cans out of the warehouse, put a wall up, and then we were set. It looked like a nice little arena.
AC or no AC?
No AC. We had heat. No, I don't think we had heat. I don't think we had heat either. That's what it was. But no AC.
That's the perfect. I feel like that's the perfect environment to break people into wrestling is the nitty gritty.
Well, I'm a big believer in that too because I don't think the basics or fundamentals ever go out of style, and I think you don't get any more basic or fundamental than just a ring in a hot, sweaty building. And
Hmm.
I'm sure show you who wants it bad enough.
And how much of that original talent wanted it that bad enough?
There was a lot. There was quite a few. You had Kofi and oh Kofi and what's his partner's name? Dave
Xavier.
Xavier Woods. Yes, man, I went blank for a minute. But you had TJ and Natty. You had my God, you had a lot of talent who was really Roman Reigns,
Hmm.
Heath Slater. You had quite a few talent who adapted pretty good. Wanted it bad enough. They worked their butts off.
Now, how long did you guys train at Dale Mabry before you started doing shows out of the arena?
It wasn't that long. I don't remember exactly how long, but it wasn't that long before we did a TV and everybody came down for it and was happy with it. Well, they were apparently happy with it, but then I guess they weren't really that happy with it because later on they closed it. So, but we had a good TV after maybe I don't know maybe 3 months, 4 months.
Hmm.
Steve could tell you better than I could.
Was Tampa an easy sell or a hard sell for wrestling at that time?
Oh, I think it was an easy sell. It was a lot better than going to Stanford, Connecticut or McDonough, Georgia, because there was nothing to do there. Here you had the beach, you had Orlando not too far away. Um, you know, Florida was a destination city.
Hmm.
Tampa was a destination city.
Was that an easy transition for you to go to Tampa?
Oh God, yes, yeah. I love the beach, and I lived in Pensacola before, and it
Hmm.
was really nice. So yeah, it was an easy transition for me to make. Of course, Steve lived there, so he was good.
So how was it building the training staff that you guys had at the time? Was it an easy choice? Was it something that Steve and because you were the head trainer, did you have input on maybe who you thought would be a good fit at the time?
But yeah, but Steve had lived there, and he knew the guys like Norman Smiley and Billy Kidman, who had been in the area too, and they came on board. Um, so yeah, it was pretty easy for me. I thought Norman's the easy guy to get along with, so is Billy Kidman.
Hmm.
And later on, we added Joey Mercury and some other people, but yeah, it was pretty easy.
In the beginning, did it seem like when you guys were getting everything going and you were building your staff and you're getting all this talent going and you have a building, did it feel like WWE was on board with all of this? Like they were happy with what was going on?
Yeah, Laurinaitis was head of talent relations, so he was the one really overlooking the developmental. and he seemed happy with it. He liked coming to Tampa too. Um, yeah, they seemed to be on board with it, but at the same time, it really was like we were down in Tampa
Hmm.
and they were in Stanford. So it's kind of like running the Vietnam War from Washington.
Hmm.
They had an idea what was going on, and we would tell them what's going on, but the only time they really came down is when they wanted to know something or change something, and the rest of it kind of went out the window. It seemed like, but for the most part, they seemed like they were on board.
Now, when previous developmental, when Jim Ross was in charge, was he just like he's gonna let you guys do what you got to do, and then when he needs to know something, he'll know something. Like he would let the trainers run developmental and not try to put his hands in all these different pots and control it.
Well, that's what JR would do with OVW and HWA. He would let the guys run it, and he would get information, no doubt, but he'd get a report every day, and he would just let the guys run it. Whereas we'd send a report in every day for Tampa and not hear anything back.
Like, what's the point?
So, well, there you go. I mean, the point is, we need information. We need information. We need information. Oh wait, why didn't you tell us about this? Well, if you look at the information we gave you 3 weeks ago, you would have known this.
Hmm.
So things like that, it can be a little frustrating.
You feel like it worked better the previous administration way, like just with developmental in particular. There's a certain way that it should be handled or done.
I think JR did a really good job with developmental, and Johnny did as good a job as he could,
Hmm.
but he was working with what he had, and so I think I don't know if they did a better job, but I like JR's style.
Hmm. Building the developmental system from FCW, what was the major difference between that and the others? Because you've always kind of had your hand on the pulse of developmental.
Well, the others are, let's say FCW, we had two training sessions. We had one in the morning. We divide them up.
Hmm.
Half the crew would go to um, Rob McIntyre's, John Cena's trainer, to train in the morning. The other half would come with us. Then at noon, they'd switch, go eat lunch, and the other group would go train at Rob's, and then the morning group would come train with us. So uh, it worked.
Was there any particular things that did you guys have more control over how you wanted things to go, or did they send you like a
Yeah.
template over how they
No,
wanted
no,
it?
no, no. They were looking for us for the template, and I think that's what got us in trouble. Is they were looking for a 1 year curriculum,
Hmm.
and I tried to tell them that's not the way you train people. You don't train them saying, "Here's where we're going to start in a year, and here's where we're going to be at the end of the year." It doesn't happen like that. People learn at different speeds and different paces, and uh, they wanted something generic, and I finally came up with something generic and gave it to them, but they fired me the next day. So that's how that works.
But like, I agree with you. You can't just have a gear plan because at that time FCW was hiring more than just professional wrestlers, it was athletes, it was
Right.
models, it was all different backgrounds. So I can understand how that can be frustrating or difficult because not everybody will learn at the same pace, especially if they have no idea what the hell professional wrestling is.
Right. And that was our conundrum there. The Bellas were nice ladies, nice girls, but they were in a world they had no idea
Hmm.
existed. And it was crazy.
There. So how long do you think it should take a typical someone coming in to learn just the basics of professional wrestling? Because it seemed like FCW, maybe not in the beginning, but they had a lot of talent under that banner there for a while, and it was an eclectic group of
Yeah.
people. So how hard was
Well,
that?
well, it wasn't. It could be difficult sometimes because you had football players, basketball players, other pro athletes coming in and thinking it's going to be a cakewalk because pro wrestling is all fake and phony and it's WWE and we can do this. We're athletes. What they don't realize is there's more to it than meets the eye. and it's the little things, and that's why a lot of them fail. But I think I think the key was the attitude when they came in. Some of
Hmm.
the guys who came in had the attitude they were going to work hard and learn it as fast as they can, which is good. But at the same time, again, as I said, some people pick up quicker than others, and that was the problem. You know, you saw the potential in some and not so much in others, and they'd call those the ones who didn't have that much potential up, and then they'd find out, and eventually the guy with potential would get a chance or opportunity, but uh, you know, it just didn't fall their way.
Hmm.
So I don't think there's one way to train people, but I also don't think there's a standard 1 year
Hmm.
guaranteed way to do it.
There, so doing that, and then was there any specific? So say they sent a talent down, and they were really high on them, and then was there any disagreement when it came to like certain talents because they thought that they should have had more potential, but you guys just didn't think that they were ready yet?
No, there was no disagreements. They would just call them up and find out for themselves.
Hmm.
But they didn't have what they thought they had.
Now, was your guys' word good enough for them most of the time?
Most of the time. Yeah, most of the time it was.
Those athletes that came in and thought that wrestling was going to be super easy, did you guys kind of like show them in a nice polite way that this was not as easy as what you may think?
Well, I would show them, but the way to show them is show them what to do in the ring.
Hmm.
And just taking the bumps, showing them the bumps, and doing the repetition over and over and over. We have a deal called man in the middle. It's like one guy stays in there, and they do these things all the way around. And they're pretty basic,
Hmm.
very simple. But if you've never done this before, it can be confusing and uh, mind wrecking.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we would show them, and I would show them and tell them, but some of them got it, some of them didn't.
So how was man in the middle in that Tampa Heat?
Lovely. Yeah, they would have to wring out their sweatshirt, their t-shirts, and put on another shirt. Yeah, yeah. It was. They paid their dues, that's for sure.
Building FCW like you guys did, was there anything in particular that may have been harder to do in those early stages?
I don't know if it was harder to do. I just think getting everybody to understand, be on the same page. And for
Hmm.
the most part, they were, but I think it was just a matter of getting everybody on the same page to understand what we're trying to do and what the idea was. And they told us when we started, if they get one or two from developmental, they'll be happy. And
Hmm.
they got like I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 15 or 20 or
Hmm.
I mean, a pretty good amount.
Yeah. Was it easy to find out those to pick through those people that truly wanted to be there versus the ones that were just being paid to be there?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it was easier to tell who was who, and you know, the ones who were just dogging it and just
Hmm.
wanting to be there and collect a check, and the other ones who were really wanted to make it. Yeah, it was pretty easy to tell.
How much leeway did Dr. Tom give those people?
Which ones?
The ones that were just being paid to be there, was it?
Well, the leeway part came in the drills because either way, the drills are hard enough if you're in shape.
Hmm.
But if you're not in shape and you think it's all a joke, then they're going to be harder. So I would just run the drills, and they'll take care of themselves. They either just faded away or left all completely or got fired. So yeah, it was one way to show them that this is a lot more than they think it is.
Now, did you have any hands in the because FCW and prior developmentals, you could either be paid to be there or you pay to be there, and
Right.
that training outside of a developmental contract. Did you have anything to do with the non-contracted talent?
No, that was Norman. Norman did the non-contract guys at night, and we did the contract guys during the day, but I had a family, had a wife.
Hmm.
Norman didn't, so he could do it.
Do you feel like that was a good thing for developmental to have, to be able to discover talent that maybe weren't on the
Sure.
radar beforehand?
Yeah, I think it was a good idea because there was a lot of guys around Tampa that probably could have got a contract.
Hmm. Was that a hard pitch to if Norman said, "Hey, maybe this guy or girl deserves a contract"?
No, I think they would just. I think what we did with that when Norman or Steve, somebody said they maybe deserve a contract, they'd have a tryout match for them,
Hmm.
and when John would come down, he'd take a look at him and he'd either sign him or he wouldn't. We went on a oh mission one time to get Yoki. What was his name? Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Uh, Yoshi.
Hmm.
Yoshi. What was his name?
Yoshitatsu.
Yoshitatsu. Thank you. Man, I'm having a brain freeze today. But Yoshitatsu went on a mission to get him signed, and we finally did. But he just wasn't ready
Hmm.
um, to go to the main roster. But we got him a developmental deal, and they were looking to go to Japan, and they wanted Yoshi in Japan. They gave him a little push, but he just didn't know what to do with it.
Hmm. Now, was the general conception for the office at the time like if they're under a developmental contract, they should be TV ready, or did they understand that you guys had to do what you had to do?
Well, at that time, uh, they knew that it was developmental, and they knew we needed time
Hmm.
to develop them. And they had TV in. We had TV in Tampa. It was on the sports channel, so it wasn't national. It gave these guys a chance to get TV ready and work towards a hard camera and learn all the nuances you need to learn without messing up on national TV. So uh, they were pretty much by the time if they went up there, they should have been ready by then.
Hmm. I always felt like that was the proper way to do it. Just have it on that
Right.
local. Because I remember, growing up in Southern Indiana, OVW, I knew who these people were before they were on the main roster, but
Right.
I felt like you were saying, doing those little house shows, doing that local television, helps prepare people better, in my opinion, than just thrusting them on national television.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of an edge there, I think. Um, learning camera angles and learning time cues and things like that. So yeah, I think it was a great learning process.
So, what was a typical Dr. Tom session?
Well, we'd come in, we'd talk about what happened the night before, if it was Raw or SmackDown or just anything that had to do with the news of the day. And then we get in the ring, we warm up, we do the bumps, we do man in the middle, we do other drills. That would take us to about noon. Then we'd switch classes. So we did drills most of the day. We had matches most some days, and when it was time to graduate or time to go to the main roster, I would work with the guys for 1 hour in the ring, 1 hour draw, 1 hour Broadway, and just to see if they could breathe, just to see if they could listen. So on a typical day, we would come in, warm up, drills, and have matches.
I'm sure that the 1 hour Broadways were their favorites.
Well, some liked it, some didn't. I worked with with a lot of them, but I worked with Heath Slater one time, and like 10 minutes into the match, I told him give me a backdrop, and he gave me a backdrop, and I broke my ankle, and I didn't know it was broke, but I had broke my ankle before, and I kind of thought it was,
Mm.
and he wanted to quit. I said no, no. So I worked the whole match with a broken ankle, and I made him throw up at the end of it. If you ever talk to Heath, you can ask him about that.
Hats off to you for that. Not a lot of people would have kept going like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going to show him I could do it and breathe and didn't do a lot of running, but we did a lot of selling, a lot of telling stories. So,
How apologetic was Heath after that?
huh?
How apologetic was Heath? Did he think he was done after that?
No. It was my fault because I called it. So because he told me no. He didn't want to give me a backdrop, and I told him to give me a backdrop. So then when we did it, I said let's keep going. Then at the end, I wanted to fire up and shot him in the corner or in the ropes. No, he shot me in the ropes and got me in the sleeper. That's what it was. Last time I ran for the ropes, and that's when he was getting ready to puke. And as the bell rang, he went over the side of the ring and puked. Thank God he didn't puke on me. 'Cause I would have puked. It would have been a chain reaction. Yeah.
When they said that, hey, they want to pull this person to the main roster, did you have to do any more preparation than what you explained, or was there specifics they would have you work with them on to maybe get them more ready?
No, they were ready by the time they called him up. They'd seen him work by the time they got called up, and but of course, working in developmental and then going to the main roster is totally different.
Hmm.
So some guys got up there and adapted well, and other guys got up there and didn't adapt so well. So
What do you think the main disconnect is from doing that and going to the main roster with some of those talents that didn't make it for that long on the main roster?
well, once again, we had TV down in Tampa,
Hmm.
and we had Dusty Rhodes, who was a huge influence and could cut have everybody cut promos and look at them, and he could see something special or something not special or whatever. He just knew he had an eye for talent.
Hmm.
So no, I mean by the time they got called up, they were ready to listen to us and listen to Dream talk, and most of the coaches on there agreed. All the coaches on there agreed.
Sometimes they would send them back down to developmental. Was that a easy process or a hard process for them? Sometimes you feel.
Sometimes it was a hard process because the guys got up to developmental or got up to the main roster and thinking they left developmental behind, but then all of a sudden they had to go down and relearn some stuff or just lose some weight or do something, and they send you to developmental to get it done. And then for some guys it was easy, and some guys it not so easy.
Was that a common theme during those early years of FCW?
Sending people back down?
Yeah.
No, not a common thing. They send a couple people back down. I can't remember exactly who right now, but I remember them sending a few people back down to get some more seasoning.
It seemed like maybe right before that, with OVW and everything, they would send people up to the main roster. It didn't work, fired. Well, we got another guy, we got another guy, we got another guy. Like, how frustrating is that for you as a trainer? Like, you spend all this time, you're helping this person, you're developing. Was that a frustrating experience? And it's like 1 week and like, it just didn't work?
Well, we knew I knew the situation. Let me say that I knew going up there and you had some fickle eyes looking at you,
Hmm.
and if you didn't have a certain look or talk a certain way, then they may not like you so much. And if that was the wrong person to not like you, then you were sunk. So it happened. It
Hmm.
happened on occasion. Yeah.
Working those house shows in Tampa, how do you feel that? How important is that for talent and developmental?
Oh, I think that's extremely important working house shows in Tampa or anywhere you are, because you can talk all day long about experience, but we can't give it to you.
Hmm.
So the only way to learn this is to go out in front of a crowd and learn and listen and apply what you've learned at class. Because we would have matches and we'd have people cheering, yelling, booing, all that stuff. But uh, it was it wasn't that frustrating.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The difference, what do you think the difference? Well, let me rephrase that. I feel like working those house shows like you guys did back in FCW versus just throwing them on an NXT taping is probably, they can probably better prepare to work those house shows and be more, perform better maybe because they're not, it's
Loose.
not, yeah, it's not all.
Yeah. Well, when a house show is so much different than a
Hmm.
TV show, and that was back when WWE was really doing house shows a lot more than they are now. But it was a great experience because you learn how to breathe, you learn how to work, you learn what 10 minutes feels like in your internal clock.
Hmm.
If you have to have a 2 hour show, then the first three matches have to go at least 10 minutes, and maybe more sometimes. So you learn how to work. You go out there and you try things and see if it works, and you try things, and if they don't work, you don't do them again, or
Hmm.
you revise it and come back next time.
Did a lot of during the developmental process, a lot of talent. Was your door always open to help people and give advice
Sure.
and guide them? Maybe this is stupid, this isn't stupid. Maybe try this, do that.
All of our doors were open. The Dream, Steve, Norman, Billy. Yeah, we all had our doors open.
How important do you feel is that in this process? So to be
Oh,
ready, available at all times.
well, I think it's extremely important that you have somebody you can go and talk to and you trust and ask if this is stupid or would this work here or would this work there.
Hmm.
I think that's extremely important. So you have somebody to lean on, and as you're going up through that journey.
Absolutely. During a typical TV day for FCW, how was the atmosphere with that? Was it everybody trying to get on, or did they understand that they only had so many spots when you were building television?
No, they understood there was only so many spots, and that was an exciting day because we'd all get there early and go over last minute preps and talk to the talent, go over show, go to the matches, and go over the show and make sure everybody's set.
Where does your passion come in for helping people develop?
Well, I didn't know I had a passion for it until I got the opportunity to do it, and I
Hmm.
think it was just over time watching the people that came and got it, watch them get it, and because not everybody does get it, but when you see somebody get it and when it clicks after you've been talking to them for a while about this, and one day it just clicks in their head. That was where my passion came from because I knew if I could explain it well enough or say something where they'll remember it and it'll click with them, then then that's fulfilling to me.
Hmm. So how frustrating is it when people take advantage of that or don't? Being passionate for developing people and people just being around people who just don't give a shit. How
Right.
do how easy is it to get Dr. Tom fired up in that environment?
Well, in that environment, it was pretty easy to get me fired up because I could go off on time at times, and I can still go off at times.
Hmm.
It's easy to go off, man. I've got my own school here,
Hmm.
and it used to be in Knoxville. It's now in LaFollette, Tennessee, and people tell me all the time how bad they want it, how they'll do anything in the world for it, but you know, actions speak louder than words. Don't tell me something and then follow through.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think I think it was easier for it to get me fired up because they were being paid to be there.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And they
Hmm.
were being paid decent money just to come and learn and train all day. And it's kind of like at the PC right now. That's a dream job for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Some people just will take advantage of it and think they got the golden ticket because they're an athlete somewhere else, and somebody from WWE thought they'd be good at this. So that could get frustrating.
And I think that professional wrestling, especially in that environment, you shouldn't be handled with gloves. You need to know how hard and tough it is, and that it's not easy.
Well, it is 2025 these days too. I find that you know, yeah, some people think it is easy. Some people want to be handled with kid gloves. So
So you're saying that Rip Rogers probably wouldn't have had a job for very long in
no,
2025.
Rip had a job for a while, and I agree with Rip. But then yeah, Rip is so Rip.
Yes.
Yes, well I do too. I know Rip very well. So yeah, he could get very frustrated.
Yeah,
And like willing, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? He has a right to get upset
mhm.
because these people are there being paid, and And we didn't have that growing up. Of course, back in my day, blah, blah, blah. Get off my lawn, you kids. But the point is, you should be able to take advantage of getting paid and being trained, and then use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. And just because you're maybe getting yelled at, or it's not necessarily that you're angry, it's just you're passionate and you want to show them this is the right way to do it. You know,
Right,
be safe. Don't do something stupid. If you're not getting it, let me help you get it.
right.
And sometimes
That's
it's like,
that's no, I was gonna say that's how we did it. That's
mm-hmm,
that's pretty much how we did it. So explain, we're not yelling at you because we're mad. We're yelling at you because we do love this and we want you to be great at it.
mm-hmm. And back then, was that more well received with that kind of training
Some
within the talent?
some yeah, some talent received it well, others didn't.
Well,
We couldn't like we had to empower talent. And I was
mm-hmm,
good at empowering people like that. John's deal was we have to empower the talent. And I agree with that. But some talent would take advantage of that. So we had to be a little more judicious with our pats on the back too, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, TJ Wilson always told me that Dr. Tom would always give you just enough rope to hang yourself.
I tried. Yeah, I tried. I give you a chance. And if you want to do it, you want to take it all the way, you go right ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And you step in that rope and hang yourself.
Well, I mean, that's how it. Honestly, that's how it should be. Because, like you
Yeah.
said, these people are being paid to be here. This is a privilege. This is an opportunity. This isn't a right. This is,
Right. Yeah, it was a tough gig, man. I mean, it could be a fun gig if you let it, but it was a tough gig too.
So, how is everything going with your school today?
Everything's going great, man. We have a school in La Follette, Tennessee. It's the Jacobs Pritchard Wrestling Academy. So, uh, yeah, it's going good.
Are you taking classes now, or you have classes going on?
I'm off this week. I have some other stuff to take care of this week, but then we start next week on a Monday, and then we do 12 weeks, and uh, then we finish up.
Where can people reach out to sign up to go to the school?
If you're looking for any information on the JPWA, you can go to jpwrestlingacademy.com. It has all the information on there, how the pricing, the schedules, and everything we do.
Do you have anything else coming up?
Oh, we'll be in Philly in 2 weeks
Okay.
for the NWA. Yeah,
Where
be
can
there for
people
that.
where can people reach out to you at?
Well, they can email me at jpwrestlingacademy@gmail.com, and yeah, you can get me there.
Well, Dr. Tom, I appreciate your time today. It was an honor and it was a privilege. I hope that we can continue to talk about developmental and FCW.
Sounds great.
Thank you for your time, sir.
You bet.